you be the host, he coming live. All for the glory of Christ, he's gonna shine. The youth be the target. Real interviews, DJs, ones and twos, and live artists. Hitting the church, especially in the streets. Digging in the word so the heavenly can see. We coming hard, yo, script by script. We glorify the name of the Lord, brick by brick. Yeah, we glorify the name of the Lord, brick by brick.
Welcome to Brick by Brick. My name is Carlos and I'm your host. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Willie Kasso Condry Jr. From Trenton, New Jersey, who started his art career at the age of 5. At the age of 5 and at the age of 7 was inspired to do graffiti. Yeah. Welcome to Brick by Brick, my man. Talk to me. He started at the age of 5.
Yeah.
So
well, that's my earliest memory. My earliest memories are like kindergarten. Drawing pictures of superheroes from my classmates. Yeah. So ever since I could pick up a pencil, I've been doing it. My mother actually tells me I started around 2, but I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, 2 years old.
Yeah. So, but I remember it was like as early as kindergarten. Yeah.
All right. Your inspiration as far as graffiti, is there anyone in particular?
Well, as far as where I came up at, there was never a graffiti scene. You know, like where you can go like to New York or Philadelphia, you can trace the graffiti lineage back 30, 40 years. In Trenton, not so much. Back in the early 80s, there were guys coming from North Jersey and New York, and I found this out later on, once I was an adult, that they were coming down to Trenton doing ads and productions for some of the like little corner stores and bodegas, but there was only like maybe 4 done. So by the early 90s, either the buildings got torn down or they were painted over. So whatever was established then was gone, you know. But that memory always stayed fresh in my head. It's like what I was seeing. There's still there's about a couple still running. They're old ads done for like the furniture stores that date back to like '84. So those remained up, and you would still see like the tag and the stuff like that. But there was never really anything organized, you know. And the only graph I seen coming up was like in the back of Source magazines, or you know, if you took that random trip to New York, you would see it on the highways. But other than that, there was nothing that I could grasp onto. But I always knew that I was going to do something with it. You know, I always drew it. I always followed it as much as I could. So it was about 6 years ago, I linked up with some like minds, and we started a graffiti crew in Trenton called the Vicious Styles Crew. And
I'm sorry, what?
The Vicious Styles Crew.
The Vicious Styles
VS Crew for short. And we started going around getting permission from stores and doing productions, graffiti themed murals on these stores. And at the time, only a few were done. The city caught wind of it, and we started getting a few commissions through the city. And through that, the rest is history. You know, we started inviting other artists down from New York, Philadelphia, even as far south as D.C., Virginia. We even had some artists from Europe come out to paint and train. Right. So our whole goal has always been to spread out, you know, spread the influence. You know, people who influenced us, you know, we've eventually had the opportunity to paint with. You know, guys that I had their pictures hanging up on my wall, I eventually painted with them. You know, so it was a big deal for me, like when I met some of these guys that I grew up looking up to. Yeah.
That's great. Now, let me ask you something. Mm-hmm. When you're growing up, because it's hard to get anybody to commission to do graffiti up on their walls, like, you know what I'm saying? That's like, you know, growing up in the city of North, that was just a way of life for us. You know, seeing, you know, for us, that was just the way you express yourself. That's, you know, you go around bombing. Remember bombing when you called bombing? You know, we were inspired by the movies, by artists. You know, when we used to draw on the Levi's, you know what I'm saying, on the jean jackets. Mm-hmm. Now, is there any mentors, anybody that helped you specifically to perfect your art?
Probably the one that sticks out the most is an artist by the name of Pose 2. It was maybe, I think, what year was it? I think it was 2005. He was hosting these workshops in Philadelphia. And at that time, I was just getting back into graffiti. Like I was so far removed from it at that point. I was airbrushing professionally. So I still had the style of it, like the hip hop style of what I was doing, but I wasn't doing graph, you know. So he had these classes that he would organize every Saturday. And at the time, it was just a way for me to get out of the city, you know, get out of Trenton, and, you know, be mentored, you know, be schooled by someone who has been doing it for as long as I've been alive. And at the time, I didn't know who he was. You know, I just knew that this guy had something that I could learn from him. So I went down to these workshops, and they weren't like anything like he was teaching us how to paint. It was more or less he was telling us how to think about what we were painting. And at that time, I never really had a mentor as far as art goes. You know, I had influences, but never anyone to like take me aside and like school me. You know, so I was a little, you know, rough around the edges as far as letting myself be schooled. You know, because I was so ingrained to do my own thing at that time. So I just kind of open myself up to learning something, and my whole life changed. You know, as far as you know, really appreciating the medium of aerosol, and you know, just the whole science behind graffiti. You know, it is not just what people think as far as just tagging and bombing. That's one aspect of it, but it's so broad now. Right. You know, it's a culture that's over 40 years old. You know, anything you can do with a brush, you can literally do what it can, if not better and quicker. You know, quicker, right? And you know, just going down there for that year, you know, and just learning from someone, like I said, who's been doing it for a very long time, just different techniques, and that's more or less what I learned, techniques, you know, and just applied it to what I was already doing. And my work has always been more figurative than letter-based anyway. And so I took what I learned there, and it's like, okay, instead of just coming here to Philly, you know, painting this one wall, which is in essence what I was doing every week, and coming down painting this one wall over and over again. Let's take what we're learning here and bring it back to Trenton. So we started going out getting walls, you know, and we still doing some street stuff. It wasn't all, you know. It was
you always got to keep it in the street. Though.
Yeah,
you know, you always got to go back and hit the walls up. Every now and then,
you know, it wasn't all like, you know, peaches and cream. You know, we was still kind of grimy because we didn't have anything. You know, nobody was giving us anything. So I would balance my street work out with my legal commissions, and you know, whatever paint we had reserved, we would do these productions. And it got to a point where we kind of hit a wall there. We had to meet about 4 walls. We were rotating, and it's like, okay, every 6 months we got to redo the same wall. Let's cover the city with murals. So I went out one day and I did this mural of Gandhi in the alleyway, notorious alleyway where he sold a lot of heroin. And I went out there Easter Sunday 2008, and I did this huge portrait of Gandhi, you know, and that was the start of me going around the city taking walls, you know, basically taking abandoned property and putting murals on them, not without asking anyone. And I contacted a friend of mine who had a similar painting style. His name Love One, and I asked him, I was like, yo, you wanna basically join me in this? He's like, let's do it. So for the next 2 years, that's all we did. Went around the city of Trenton covering them with murals.
All right. Now I'm looking at this painting here. Now, what this painting represents to you? I mean,
actually, this is a painting of my niece. I did this for an art show we had a few months ago in Trenton called Soul of the Message. And I paint my niece, my nephews, my daughter. I use the children of my life as for a lot of my canvas work. Even the walls, you know, if I have a theme wall, and especially like for instance, I did a wall at a community center, and I needed images of children, so I use my daughter and my niece and nephew. They're right there, so you know, they don't like to pose for me sometimes. They give me a hard time about it, but you know, they got to do it. Yeah, the kids,
some kids.
Yeah, so a lot of my subject matter centers around my family. That's been the case ever since I was in college. Yeah.
Okay, now how do you go back into the community? I mean, there are a lot of young, especially young men, not to take away from young women, anybody that's into art, if art is in you, of course you want to express your art, but a brother like this, or a brother like yourself, who is here, and you're obviously giving back to the community when you're putting up murals. You're obviously, when you run around to Europe, you're also representing where you're from.
Yeah.
You know, when you run around doing all these shows, how do you go about influencing young people in art?
Well, the cool thing about what we do is that we're in the community. Like, it's so funny, doing murals has gotten me into doing more community work. And I've always been adamant about the inner city, and like, you know, people need to focus more attention on the positive things that come out of it instead of all the negative. But when you're in these communities and you're there day in and day out doing these walls, I mean, you're meeting all kinds of people. You know, people at the lowest level of life and people at the highest. You know, they're all there either driving through or walking by. And my whole thing is to spark up a conversation. Just talk to people, you know what I'm saying, and let them know why I'm here. You know, especially when I was out, you know, basically doing these murals without sanction. I needed to let people know why I was here, because I'm not necessarily in essence supposed to be here. And the one thing I found out is that, you know, people are hungry for this type of stuff, but there's no outlet for it. I don't know how many times people have approached me and, oh, where can my kid learn this? Or where are you teaching? It's like, well, there's nothing established here. You know, one thing I tell people, call down to the city. You have a voice. Call down to the city and complain. When you complain, they will act. If you don't do anything, they're not going to do anything, because in essence, nobody cares. You know, I was like, that's why these communities are in such disarray. The powers that be, in essence, don't care unless you voice your complaints. You know, so make a fuss. You know, that's what, you know, start something. That's what the whole essence of going out and doing these walls. Nobody was giving us the opportunity. We went out and we took it. And then the community followed suit once they realized that, you know, we're all on the same side here. But you have to, you know, so eventually, like, even when the city wasn't, you know, giving us anything, complying, we started our own programs, you know, started teaching our own classes. We established graffiti classes at one of our places we paint at called TerraCycle. Every Saturday, you know, kids would come down, we show them how to paint, you know, and also working out, we actually are working on doing some class up in Bedminster, New Jersey, coming this July, yeah.
Bedminster, New
so,
Jersey.
yeah, just, you know, just finding a way.
Just finding a way.
Just finding a way.
And you made a key point, and that's letting your community know to go out and investigate what it is that artists like yourself or people such as yourself that are going out and trying to help the community and reaching out to the community. And I want to thank you, brother, for coming through, man. I want to see you come again. Anybody want to find out more about Kasso and his crew and what it is that he's doing to volunteer to help people within the community, please reach out to us at Brick by Brick the Show on Facebook and YouTube. God bless.
Peace.
Welcome to Brick by Brick. This is Cooking with Joe. Today what I'm going to be cooking will be cereal crunch chicken. It's very simple, and with the side of potato onions. I've got basically everything prepared already, but I'm going to walk you through it. Start off with the potato onions. Basically what you're going to need is 4 medium onions, and you just wash them before you can cut them. What you want to do is just cut them into cubes. 4 onions now. Once you get 4 onions, just roughly chop them. Now what I usually use is aluminum pan. Quick, simple, you don't have no washing, no cleaning. After you're done with it, you get rid of the pan. Now, 4 medium potatoes. And what I use is, you get it at any store, is onion soup mix. It's a dry mix. What I do is, you have the 4 potatoes in there chopped nicely into little cubes. What I do is use the the onion mix, which you can get at any store. Sprinkle it over. What you're going to need is 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. Drizzle the vegetable oil over the potatoes. Mix the potatoes. Cover them with the lid. And so provided, cover them with the lid. You throw them in your oven for 35 to 40 minutes. As that's cooking, I start preparing my chicken. Now what you're going to need is, what I use is Captain Crunch chicken, any type of cornflakes. What I use is 4 cups Captain Crunch chicken, 2.5 cups of cornflakes. You put them in a Ziploc bag, have your kid help you out. It's very important to be family orientated. I get my children to help me out. What they do is I throw it all in a bag and they crunch it up. Crunch it up nicely and fine, as you can see here. And then you put that to the side. You're going to use a flour mix. Now, what I do is 4 cups all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Once again, throw it in a Ziploc bag, shake it up, mix it up, no fuss, no muss. You're going to need at least 4 pounds of chicken breast. Now what I already did was prepared it, washed it, and I cut it. Now you can get tenderloins. It's real simple, real easy. You wash it, clean it, make sure it's good. And on the side over here I have is 2 eggs. What you do is, plastic container, crack your eggs. If you would also like, you can add a little bit of milk to it. Beat your eggs. Now what I already had done was, it has these little plastic containers. One contains my cereal mix, which all you have to do, being it's already crushed, the kids helped you out with it, add it to the container. Put the rest of it to the side because I guarantee you're going to want some more of this. Other container contains the flour. What you do is just add the flour to the container. Put the flour to the side. Now, what I use also is 2 separate tongs. This one here I'll be doing for dipping my chicken. This one here will be getting it out the oil. Put that one to the side. Now, what I do is, first thing I do is pull out my chicken, which has been washed and cleaned. Dip it into the flour. Flip it. Get it in there nice and coated. After it's nice and coated, shake the rest of it off. Put it into the egg wash. Like I said, if you want to add milk, you add a little bit of milk to it. Coat that very nicely. Once that's coated, let the rest of it drain off. And then you add it to your cereal crunch mix. Now once again, cereal crunch mix is 4 cups Captain Crunch, 2.5 cups cornflakes. Right? Just coat it nicely. What I do is pack it. I cover my chicken and I pack the Captain Crunch on it. Once you did that, you grab it, shake the rest of it off. You're going to need some vegetable oil. My pan's here is nice and hot. It only takes 3 to 5 minutes for that to cook. And what happens is, I'll let it cook and I'll turn it. As that's cooking over there, once again, I come over here and I prepare my next piece. Dip it into the flour, coat it real good with the flour. Then back into the egg. I notice I have 3 different containers, nothing's touching each other. Coat that very nicely. Let it drip off. Back into the crunch cereal mix that we made. Cover that. Pack it nicely. Now this is preparing, the other one should be done. Like I said, 3 to 5 minutes. That's all it takes. Come out nice and golden. Once it come out nice and golden, just sit it out and drain it. Put it on a nice little drain, paper, let the excess oil drip off, drain off. And you just keep going. You just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Now, remember, the potato onions, we got that in the oven. It takes 35 to 40 minutes to cook. As you're preparing this, every 10 minutes you go, you take it out, and you mix it. You would take your potatoes out the oven, just with the spatula, just mix it around, make sure everything is coated. And once you do that, and it's very important to keep your oil at a low temperature. If not, your chicken will burn. All right? So, as that's going, I also have a salad prepared. So that way, you have your chicken on your side, you have your potatoes, and last but not least, you have a nice little garden salad here. You can go to any store. It's already pre-made, pre-mixed. To make it your own little special, you're going to add corn. There are different varieties of corn. You have Fiesta corn, you have kettle corn, you have white corn. Whatever you like, you add to it, throw your own little flavor. Everything I showed you here can be tweaked. If you like more garlic, you like more onions, you like more black pepper, everything is done to your taste. I've done this over the years, and I've come with my recipe that my kids absolutely love, and I haven't changed it a bit. Now, this is the final product. Once you're done, this will be your Captain Crunch chicken. And in here will be your potato onions. Nice, steamy, and hot. Now, the best thing with these onions, if you don't eat them all that day, they're good for home fries in the morning. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision out there because this is smelling great. Potatoes are nice and tender. Chickens are good and crispy. Thank you for the segment of Cooking with Joe. Buen provecho. Enjoy. Thank you.
Dreams. What are dreams? Moments etched in time, swept in strokes on twilight canvases, vast as the cosmos, quiet lullabies echoing through the purple dawn. Dreams. Farthest reaches of imagination fulfilled, endlessly evolving in leaps and bounds. Hidden beauty in unexpected places. Sculptures of perfect imperfections. These are dreams. Sublime journeys beyond the extraordinary. Sad shadows of requiems long ago. Forms and formlessness. Textures that radiate cascading visions and colorful sounds. Dreams that shimmer between wishes and stars. Mystery, majesty. Transcendent they soar through infinite possibilities.
He saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, thou art the Christ, thou art the Christ, thou art the Son of the living God. Thou art the Christ, 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 thou art the Christ.
Listen up, voice. Now you hold the sign on the corner saying God hate gays and expect they gon' step in the church and get saved. Or better yet, how we believe in real Christians rock hate propaganda on picket signs and wristbands. They leave a taste in my mouth like rotten fruit, cause the Jesus of the Bible laid dinner with the prostitutes. Folks saying he a crutch or a legend. They only use his name when they be cursing and stressing. Man, I confess it, oh boy, I done the same. They say it's an expression, others say it's used to rain, but if it is, y'all we need it like an IV. 30 the sees that the truth will make the blind see. The picture blurry, let me clear it up like Visine. I'm here to shine light in the dark, my flows is high beams. It all depends on what you calling a fan. Was Christ just a good teacher, was he God or a man?
Thou art the Christ, 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 thou art the Christ.
Yo, you gotta call him something, but you can't call him nothing.
Thou art the Christ, 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 thou art Son of the living God.
You gotta be the most misunderstood, most misquoted. Fox News commentated, right-wing voted. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, misillustrated. In every artistic depiction that's been created. Misrepresented by many who claim his name. Rejected by religious folk for going against the grain. One call him prophet, other call him a savior. But some call him savior just to profit off the paper. Some say political, a holy man. Some say he was God, others only man. But one say he perfect, others say he's a sinner. They claim he sat down with Common to eat dinner. And what kind of spiritual leader would do that? I guess the type to meet people right where they at, man. It all depends on what you calling a fan. Was Christ just a good teacher? Was he God or a man?
Thou art the Christ, 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 thou art the Christ.
Yo, you gotta call him something, but you can't call him nothing.
Thou art the Christ, 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 thou art Son of the living God.
Okay, man. 1,000 years before the birth of Christ, ancient prophecies record the details of his life. Let's start first with this family tree. See, it was prophesied there in Jeremiah 23. That he be a descendant of King David. Bloodline matches, y'all can check it, he made it. Moving right along there to Psalm 22. The Bible says his hands and his feet get pierced through. The next prophecy was recorded by Zechariah about the blood money given for the life of the Messiah. 30 silver coins, the exact amount. It's written 500 years before we got sold out. Now I could keep going, but I'm pressed for time. I couldn't fit 300 other prophecies in my rhymes. Secular historians have verified his light, and one living during his time spoke higher than Christ. His name was Josephus, he validated Jesus, his life, death, resurrection, miracles, and teachings. But what compels me more to believe is the fact that his disciples died alone in the streets. See, I truly doubt if what they preached was a lie, that everyone except Judas be willing to die. If 500 eyewitnesses said they saw him risen, it only take one though to send your butt to prison. So, if Christ is who he says he is, and he rose up out of the grave, and you and I really need to call the man who he truly is, the only name by which men are saved. Let's shout it out.
Thou art the Christ, 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 thou art the Son of the living God, Christ.